I assume they got somebody.
Yeah, I think so.
If I can have your attention, it's 5 o'clock. I have a couple board members going to be coming in a little while, but we have enough to start, so we're going to start. So first item up is approval of the agenda, and everyone should have it on their computers in front of them. Anything needs to be changed or added, Lisa? I know we've had some last-minute changes, but
So moved.
you should have it. Okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we have the agenda. Approval of the minutes, and there's several attached, but I'm sure you've had a chance to look over them, and the only people that were absent at any of these are the same ones that are on here right now, so we don't have to make a note of that.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that approves all the minutes. And so we're moving right along, and that's going to carry us straight into an action. And the first item up is audit presentation. And I believe that must be, is that Mr. Craig?
That's right.
Welcome.
Thank you. I assume that you guys also have this on your screens as well.
We do.
My name is Lance Craig. I'm a manager with Dixon Hughes Goodman out of Pinehurst office. This is my 5th year working on the audit engagement for Beaufort County Schools, so some of you may remember me from last year. I'd like to start out by thanking Tammy Lewis, who's not in attendance today, the Assistant Finance Officer, and Mark Doan, for all the support that they provided during this year's audit. As you will see a little bit later on, this year was a little bit challenging due to the conversion to the Link accounting software and also the departure of the finance officer prior to the beginning of our audit. Today we're going to go over the independent auditor's report, discuss a few matters which are required to be communicated to the Board of Education, review current year financial highlights and compare those to the prior year, and then also finally take a look at the results of our compliance audit as well. I should mention before I begin that we have not yet distributed the financial statements to the Board of Education as we are awaiting local government commission approval on those. Once we receive that approval, we'll distribute both the financial statements and also our report to the board. So we'll start out here with a discussion of our auditor's opinion. This is an excerpt from the financial statements of our independent auditor's report. It reads that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information for the board as of and for the year ended June 30, 2016. This is what's known as an unmodified opinion. Come on in. No problem. This is what's known as an unmodified opinion, meaning we are not aware of any material modifications which need to be made to the financial statements. As I stated earlier, there are a few matters which are required to be reported to the Board of Education. That will be communicated to you in writing once we do deliver the financial statements to you. But I do want to go over those at this time. Our responsibilities as it relates to the audit are predicated on generally accepted auditing standards and also OMB's uniform guidance. GAS dictates how we perform our audit standards and the standards that we must adhere to. The uniform guidance governs the compliance audit portion of our work. The financial statements do contain certain significant estimates and also sensitive disclosures. Those were noted to be the useful lives of depreciable assets and also the proportionate share of the net pension liability related to the teachers and state employees retirement system plan. If there are any difficulties or disagreements with management, we are required to report those to you in writing. There were no difficulties noted during our audit. And we're also required to report certain journal entries which are determined to be material. We did have a few material journal entries as a result of our audit. Those entries were to correct certain accounts payable and accounts receivable items, the net pension liability related to the teachers and state employees retirement system plan, and also depreciation expense for capital assets. The next several slides are going to be highlights of the current year and comparing those to the prior year so the board can have an adequate understanding of the movement of their funds in the current year. This is a snapshot of your general fund for the year ended June 30, 2016 and 2015. You can see that cash decreased from $2.1 million down to $1.3 million as a result of expenditures in excess of revenues in the current year. Likewise, your fund balance also decreased from $1.9 million down to $1.1 million as a result of this as well. You can see that revenues in the current year increased $500,000 due to additional appropriations made by the county in the current year, which were spent on both personnel cost and also operational cost as well. This is a summary of your restricted revenues fund. This fund houses certain federal and state grants that are not administered through the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. It also has various miscellaneous revenues such as E-rate funds and also Medicaid reimbursements. The cash in this fund is generally going to be assigned in subsequent years for specific purposes and also programs. Your state public school fund is a reimbursement type fund administered through the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Because it is a reimbursement type fund, any allotments in the current year which are unused are required to be reverted back to the state, which is why this fund does not carry a fund balance. The revenues in this fund are generally going to be based on enrollment and adjusted for funding from the state legislature each year. In comparison to the prior years, revenues were relatively consistent. Overall, most of the revenues in the state public school fund are spent for instructional purposes. Your federal grants fund is also a reimbursement type fund administered through NCDPI. These revenues are typically tied to demographic and socioeconomic statistics based on your student population. In the current year, the increase in revenues of approximately 4% were tied to your Title I program and also your special education program. Your capital outlay fund, in comparison to most other LEAs across the state, is actually quite healthy. It appears that the county is providing capital appropriations to meet some of Beaufort County Schools' capital requirements during the year. You did sustain a decrease in cash in the current year from $1.9 million down to $1.4 million, which again was a result of excess of capital expenditures over revenue in the current year. Some of the major projects in the current year included a multi-purpose building at Eastern Elementary and also the field house at Washington High School. This graph gives you a visual presentation of the sources of your revenues over the past 4 years. As would be expected, the majority of your revenues are derived from the state of North Carolina, followed by Beaufort County, the U.S. government. Over the past 4 years, the state of North Carolina funding has increased slightly, as well as the county funding as well. U.S. government dollars have continued to decrease as a result of the expiration of the ARA funding. And this graph will give you an idea of how those revenues are spent annually. It's not a surprise that the majority of your funding is spent on instructional purposes, approximately 75%. That's followed by support services. Your instructional services are mainly teacher pay and benefits, also classroom materials and supplies. Your support services are primarily general and administrative type cost. This graph breaks down your fund balance for each of the past 4 years. I've included both total fund balance for governmental funds and also your unassigned fund balance. Your unassigned fund balance is going to be the most important aspect to look at because it tells you what is available should there be some sort of adverse effect to your funding or a significant unexpected cost. Over the past 4 years, unassigned fund balance has steadily dropped, which signifies that Beaufort County Schools is using fund balance to make up for operational shortfalls throughout the year. At June 30, 2016, approximately $739,000 was in your unassigned fund balance, which equates to 5% of your annual general fund expenditures, meaning Beaufort County Schools could operate for a little over half a month if there was a complete cutoff of its funding.
Is there a target that you would recommend?
There's actually not a target for school systems. There are for counties, and I'm sure Willie would know that. They kind of have the same approach for cities as well, but the way school systems operate is very interdependent on the county. So you have some school systems, their relationship with the county will take back all the funding each year that's not spent and leave them with no fund balance. As a general rule, what we typically see is somewhere around 12% of annual general fund expenditures, which would be about a month and a half of operations. And then lastly, this is a snapshot of your school food service fund at June 30, 2016 and 2015. Net position increased from $870,000 to $930,000. Typical with most LEAs across the state right now, operating revenues are continuing to decline as participation in the child nutrition program has dropped. Most assumed due to the healthy food regulations that have been passed and have been implemented over the past several years. This has forced most child nutrition programs to cut expenses, which were done in the current year to the tune of $91,000. Luckily, some of the non-operating revenues, such as federal and state reimbursements and commodities, have made up for some of the decline in operating revenues, which has taken some of the pressure off of schools to cut operating costs even further. That brings us to the compliance portion of the audit. In connection with government auditing standards, we are required to assess your compliance with certain laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements. We do this in our report, which is titled a Yellow Book report. In connection with this audit, we did note a few things which we are required to report to the board. That being that manual journal entries should have adequate approval and be fully supported through explanations and supporting data. Liability accounts should be reconciled on a monthly basis. We noted that this process was disrupted mainly due to the linked software conversion in the current year. Reconciliation of cash accounts should also be done on a monthly basis with any discrepancies reconciled and resolved. Again, due to the link conversion software and the departure of the finance officer, these were not done in a timely basis. Expenditures should be recorded in the period in which the services are performed or the goods are received. We noted a few cutoff issues related to accounts payable, which was not handled appropriately in the current year. And then lastly, when undertaking any sort of significant project such as the link conversion, there are inherently going to be issues with that. We did note the following issues which directly impacted the financial records in the current year. Those were that the board-approved budget did not match what was contained in the link software in the current year. The beginning trial balance for certain funds did not agree with the ending trial balance in the previous year. And also the depreciation schedules were not in agreement with the beginning of the year either. All of these items were identified during the audit and have been corrected at this point. We're also required to evaluate the board's compliance with federal programs that are deemed to be major. There was one major program in the current year, that was a special education program. We noted no findings, material weaknesses, or significant deficiencies required to be reported in accordance with the OMB's uniform guidance. And then also we are required to evaluate the board's compliance with state programs that are determined to be major. That was the state public school fund in the current year. Again, we noted no findings, material weaknesses, or significant deficiencies required to be reported in accordance with the State Single Audit Implementation Act. That concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Craig? So we're good going forward.
Putting him on the spot.
That's his job.
We took his figures, his adjusted trial balance. We reconciled it to their beginning balance, so we know that one's off. Right now, we're going through and we're tweaking the budget as it was originally adopted and make sure it's amended. Just to ensure that you all have all the budget amendments, we're going to bring it to you in a lump. I don't know which ones came before you in the past. I'm going to present it as a whole, so therefore they're in your record.
I guess my question is also for Willie, are you comfortable from this point going forward that we've got a handle on the reconciliations and everything?
Yes, we're working twofold. Ms. Lewis and I have been working on getting the balances in the school-based funds. That was one of the things that Mr. Craig and I have been talking about, making sure that our records match the audit, then match what we've told the schools. And right now, we've got a couple of differences there, and we are moving forward to get those bank statements caught up and address how we're going to continue to get them
Thank you.
correct.
No, that's what I want to know, moving forward. Are we
Moving
okay?
forward.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that's just the way it happens around here.
Well, it's, yeah.
Was it you, Ms. Craig, that called me for the interview?
It's
or
probably
was
one of my
it-
associates.
Because I don't believe it was you. I believe it was
Yeah,
someone else,
yeah.
but.
We typically like to contact a board member, so if you guys ever get a call from somebody claiming to be Dixon Hughes Goodman, we typically like to contact a board member to ensure that everything that's been represented to us
Right.
by management is also your stance as well. So if there's anything that's not been disclosed, material fraud, non-compliance with laws and regulations, we need to be made aware of that.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, because the conversation I had with that particular person,
Sure.
none of this was a surprise. I mean, we covered everything, and
Mhm.
they asked those questions you just mentioned then.
Right.
What did I think about here or there? And I think we're good moving forward. So it wasn't, I didn't see anything surprise me too much
Good,
here. So.
good. We don't like surprises.
No, not with dollars, and
Yes.
I don't like surprises anyway. So, any other questions? If not, we do not have to formally. I am correct, right? We do not have to formally approve this.
I believe
But-
you accept it, it's the way we've always
Yeah, but
done
we're
it.
going to just take a motion and do it just to put a little final
Sure.
stamp on it. So, I'd entertain a motion to accept this.
I move that we accept the audit as presented to us today.
Okay, a motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Done
Thank you.
deal.
Thank you very much.
Bath Recreation Department.
Eric Slade.
I believe that's Mr. Slade I'm looking at.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Eric Slade. I'm here on behalf of the Bath Rec Department. We're here asking for approval to take two of the existing fields we have and kind of finish the fencing around the outfield. We've got fencing that run from home plate down the third baseline now, and we've got the funds available to go ahead and finish those up. And we would like to do that. If you're looking, I had printed off a picture from Google Earth. The school would be on the west side of these four fields, and the two fields to the furthest east side would be the two that we're talking about doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd read myself, and I'm sure everybody else has, what's on our screen here.
Okay.
And I don't have any issues with it. Any questions from Mr. Slade about this?
What's your timeline on this?
As soon as we get approval, as soon as the fence gets in, they're looking to put it in, we would like to do it within the next month.
Okay. They currently have softball going on and baseball, don't they, at the school?
Just getting ready to start.
Okay.
This will affect none of the fields that are playing for the school. The only field is the field in the northwest corner is the school ball field, so
Uh-huh.
it would, all the work would be done over further to
So
the
it won't
west.
have any impact
No,
on them?
no effect whatsoever.
Won't keep them from practicing?
No,
or
ma'am.
playing? Okay. That was my only
Any
question.
further questions?
I have none. Anyone else?
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
So, entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hear none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to this? Thank
We
you
sure
very much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Have a great evening.
All your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Southside High School, cross country, Mr. Johnson and Mr. White.
Well, we have a couple of projects that we want to have approved also at Southside. We're, first of all, we're interested in fitness, and we have a sandbox, sand pit, not a sandbox. Sandbox would be for kindergartners. This is for high school kids. We want to put a sand pit on the the football practice field, and that's going to be used for fitness classes and also for sports for dexterity in football and other sports. There's no cost to the board. The railroad ties have been donated, and also the sand. And then on the other side of the school, you look at your map. This is the west side of south side. In a wooded area, we'd like to put a cross-country trail. We had cross-country for the first time this fall in a long time. We had a student to go to the state meet. We were proud of that. And so we want to host cross-country meets at Southside. We feel like we can get a machine to do a very little invasive trail in the woods and keep all of the mature trees in there. And we also want to use our biology and earth and environmental classes to make this also a walking trail. So it will be a double thing that we could do for the school. So Sean, what have I missed?
Well, one thing as far as the cross-country trail, we're trying to make it where the kids will not have to cross the highway. In the past, when we had cross-country before, we were going down the road, I guess just east of Possum Track and 33, the intersection there. Used to be a dirt road, and we'd have people there, obviously directing traffic so cars wouldn't come by. But we want to have this all-inclusive on campus, and by doing this, if we used the wooded area behind the school, behind baseball and softball, and there is some wetlands back there, we would definitely stay away from that. We're only going to stay on the dry ground. But there's plenty of room back there where we could do basically 2 laps around the school would be the distance we would need for the cross-country course. And as Mr. Johnson said, as less invasive as possible, we're going to walk the trail or walk the woods here in the next couple of weeks and put some markers up to kind of mark the path and make sure we got the right distance through there. No mature hardwoods or pines would come down. We're trying to make it, as little as possible being cut. We have access to a piece of machinery that can go in and basically cut a path about 3 to 4 feet wide, which 3 feet wide is the minimum distance for a path through the woods for cross country. And like you said, no money would be involved as far as coming from the county. We'll absorb all that cost. For the trail, we've got a teacher at school that thinks he can get a piece of equipment, a hold of a piece of equipment in the community that will do this, and we just pay for the fuel for that machinery. And if that's not available, he has talked to somebody else, and I think it's $75 to $90 an hour. And from what they're saying, just by looking at the area, that it would take probably about 4 hours to do. And that would, we could absorb that either through athletics or the Boosters Club.
And this teacher's David?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that because you had mentioned, but I knew it had to be David anyway.
Yeah.
He knows all about stuff like this.
What's the distance, Sean, of cross-country course?
3.1. And we can
keep them off that highway if we didn't do anything.
That's what we want. We want to actually stay inside the fence, the fenced-in area of the school, the perimeter of the school.
Yeah.
And they'll end up on the track, is that right?
Yeah, we're
Go through the
gonna.
wooded area twice and then end up on the track.
Yeah, we'll start because we got to have a larger starting
Let's do that.
point for cross country because everybody's got to start at the same time, and then it narrows down. We'll start on the practice soccer field, which is between softball and football, behind the visitor stands. Go around twice and then come onto the track, do a half lap around the track, and finish at the start-finish line on the actual track.
Will you be then responsible for maintaining this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And like Mr. Johnson said, we're also trying to incorporate the science classrooms in there, maybe to put some markers out, make it kind of a nature walk also. Some markers with, identifying trees, different things along the trail.
Be available for the community. Yeah, so it'll be a nice feature for us to have in the community.
And we already own the land.
And have fun chasing the poison ivy. Many, many years ago, another school had a problem with poison ivy. No matter what they did, it was just growing in abundance, and they really that was their biggest challenge, was the poison ivy.
We're just excited about identifying as many snakes as we can, you know.
Yeah.
If you get too close to that creek, that may be true. More than, but you say you stay away from that area, because it is wet once you get way on down into the
Yeah,
swamp.
if you see on the map there is plenty of high ground there. You can actually see where the wet areas are.
Yeah.
It's mainly right along the back edge of the property and also on the possum track end. There is a little cleared area right there by the bus parking lot that is not, school property, but that's fenced off anyway.
Are you going to have time to get it up and done before spring?
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're trying to do, is go ahead and mark it and possibly get it done before the foliage comes back, before it greens up. We can see a little bit better, where we need to go and be easier to get in and out.
Can we go ahead and?
Sure, and having a path in there make it easier to get those softballs you knock over the fence.
And the baseballs too.
And the baseball, because they all the time do it. They're already going in the woods, aren't they, Sean?
They are.
They're already going in the woods. So this will give them a path to go in there on. What was that? I'm sorry, Carolyn.
I make a motion that
Okay.
we approve the
And I
request.
second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to give our approval. Any last questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
We appreciate all the efforts that you guys do.
I can go walking.
And they're all the
Yeah.
time walking down in there getting balls out. So. That moves us along to S.W. Snowden, and I believe we have the principal, Mr. Hangy, with us. Don't believe we do, I know we do.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for this opportunity to request to add interscholastic athletic team. At Snowden, we've been looking for a spring sport for our students since last year, and we kind of toyed with even tennis because we had these nice courts out there. We had a fun run last year for the first time, a 5K, and there was a great deal of interest in the community and from our students. And we went to our students just recently, and many of them voiced interest, and we have about 30 students that are interested in being part of a track team. What we would like to do is to, we've got enough funding, I believe, for the uniforms. It's a very minimal cost. We do have some funds for that. The facility, we've got, plenty of room behind the school. Our meets would either be in Craven or Pamlico County for the first year, and the equipment we need is fairly minimal and inexpensive, stopwatches, your starter pistol, relay batons, and we've started researching the cost of those, and again, it's very minimal. Mr. Stephen Whitley will be our boys coach, and Renee Smith would be the coach for the girls. We have a list of students that had voiced interest. There's 16 boys, 13 girls that are attached. We've already contacted Jimmy with EB Sports. We usually work with him on some of our sporting equipment. And again, with the uniforms, very minimal cost. We did a little bit of research, and it should only be about $20 per student. So we've got plenty to cover that at the school level. Any questions?
Personally, if we can add any sport to Snowden, I'm all for it.
Well, I'm just excited that we'll be helping out Southside High School by preparing some of these athletes to participate in cross-country. There's also a lot of local runs, and our kids are very interested in getting into really good shape and participating in the Aurora Fossil Run, and then we've got our own fun run that's coming up in April.
Will you be getting these coaches on our list, or are they on our list for
They're on
approval?
here.
They're already on here?
Oh,
No,
oh,
I know the coaches here, but I mean, we
I'm
actually
sorry.
need
For
to
their
get them on the
personnel.
list
Right.
to be approved.
I don't think they was on person.
No, not until.
To approve one thing
Yes.
at a time. Gotcha.
But
Take it
go
a step
ahead
at a
and
time.
approve
Mr.
it
Mayor,
in one night, that's
if there's
perfectly
nobody
fine.
else, I make the,
And I will second that again, too.
Okay.
I hope you're going to be able to get it going this year.
Oh, absolutely, we're ready.
I love that you've got that much interest.
It says spring 2017 right on here, so. that
That's
must be-
right,
see
we're
that.
ready to go,
Yeah, so
and
that's
Dr.
what
Phipps
we're-
also had
No, I'm
another
just saying
good
that, so that's what you're
Yeah,
approving.
yeah.
You're approving it for now.
Great.
And Dr. Phipps also had an excellent suggestion when I talked with him earlier too, with some of the hurdles and some of the things. If there's schools that are not using their equipment for this season, possibly they may be interested in letting us use them. But again, from the research I've done, the costs are very minimal.
Well, if he brings you in, you don't let him demonstrate, because apparently he has some issues with running and walking.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
So, we have a
Thank you.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we can go to step two whenever you find your coach, get your coaches on your
Once we
list.
get those contracts signed, we
There
will
you
bring
go.
them to you.
That's
Okay.
fine. Well, I figure spring's right around the corner, so.
Field trip.
Field trip approvals? Mr.
There's
Cobb?
several that are on here. I'd like to give them all to you at one time and seek your approval, but I'll go through and share with you what they are. The first one is field trip number 9737, Southside High School, 17th of February through the 18th, overnight, Science Club, UNC Wilmington. It's the Blue Heron Ocean Bowl and campus tour, and you can see there the number of students and chaperones taking a minivan. The next one is 9691, Northside High School, the 22nd of March to the 25th, overnight for the Greensboro FBLA state competition. You can see that information as well. They will be traveling with Washington High School, and Washington will have a male chaperone, so when those are put together, that matches up in case that was a concern. The next one at Southside, trip 9678 on the 26th of April to the 28th is overnight, Skills USA, also in Greensboro. And then the 9841 Southside, the 11th of May to the 14th is overnight and out of state. And this is a similar trip that you've seen before with the band going to Gettysburg to perform at the Gettysburg National Military Park. It's a good trip for them to take, and we're excited that's back on there. 9640 Northside, the 19th through the 20th of May, overnight, out of state, senior class, Kings Dominion to participate in the Senior Fest. And then 9536 Northside, overnight, the ROTC program on a drill competition in Fayetteville. And then 9613 on the 14th of April, just an out-of-state trip. They'll do it there and back with the Poetry Club, going to the Busch Gardens to participate in a scavenger hunt. And we don't have the male chaperone there, but this is not an overnight trip. If that's something you need us to look at, we will, but they'll be leaving and coming back in the same day. So I'd like to present those for your consideration and approval.
Well, they have 2 for 30, and
That's right.
the deal's 1 for every 15,
That's
so
right.
they're covered. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're covered. Anybody have any questions? If not, okay, good.
I assume you said north side will be traveling with Washington.
With Washington.
I assume that'll come up for approval later, Washington, or have we already?
It will if we have, I'm not sure if we've got it or not, but when you match those two up, the
Okay.
chaperones and students match, I'll double check that and make sure, but I think we've already done that one.
Okay. Move approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any last questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to it? Terry, I didn't know if you were wondering what we were saying. When they go off on trips, we have to have at least one chaperone for every 15 students, so typically,
I knew it was a numbers game.
Typically, it's male to male, but if they're not overnight, I think it's fine, right, Don?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still 2 for 30, so that's 1 to 15, so we're good.
And our policy is anything overnight or out of state requires
Yeah.
board approval, so that's why you're seeing this.
And most of the time, they end up having more than what they need.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you might be better off if you got more than that 1 to 15, more than likely, but that's the rule. So, class size reduction resolution, I believe, wants to be presented.
This is a recommended resolution that came from the North Carolina School Boards Association. This deals with what I think is an unintended consequence of the General Assembly action this past year where they were doing class size reduction. I think the idea and the intent of that was positive, but the impact is going to be negative with us in terms of space and the number of employees that it may impact. So the School Board Association has asked schools to look at this resolution, and what we're asking our General Assembly to look at is to look at how the funding and the position allotments are done to try to provide some flexibility and relief to us because of the space concerns that we've got, and then also the impact that it may have on our staff members. We know that there's a House Bill 13 is out that would provide some resolution. It's not perfect, but it's better than where we are, and we're supporting that, and hopefully we can get that passed and through the Senate. But they asked for the local boards to consider adopting the resolution that just stresses our understanding and our request to them to consider that when they pass the law.
Would you do me a quick favor? I understand this, and I know you're good being put on the spot, so I don't
Sure.
mind doing it to you. Can you give the 1-minute explanation why, just because we're being asked to reduce classes, that's not a good, because I understand it, I think the board understands it, but we get a lot of questions, don't we, Don, about why would you be concerned about them reducing your class sizes? Explain why we're talking about that.
And I have to say, class size is something that superintendents for years have been saying the reduction was important. Where it impacts us is when you put the maximum limit in the cap on the number of students that you can have in a class. What it requires us to do when you do the math is we have to have more classrooms, which means we have to have those teachers. When the law was passed, there was no funding for those additional teachers. So you have to make that happen through the existing funding that you have through the state, or you have to go to the local funders, which would be the county commissioners, and this becomes an unfunded mandate and a pass down to the county commissioners. And it's basically for us, on our projections, would include 9 positions. That either how you handle that is really up to the local to make the decision. We could either go to the commissioners and request additional funding for 9 positions, or we would have to look at trimming some positions to make sure that we met the class size reduction concerns. The other issue is that at 2 of our schools, at Eastern Elementary and at John Cotton Taylor, we do not have the physical space to add additional teachers in classes. We just can't do that. And one recommendation that I heard from someone at the state was to put 2 teachers in the same classroom and divide the class in half. And if we're doing that, I feel like we'd be better off with teacher assistants who are highly qualified now to do the work that they're doing. But we're just asking for flexibility here.
Right.
Every county is different. Every school is different. The physical needs in the buildings are different, and we just want to make sure that we're doing what's right for Beaufort County, and we're just asking for that flexibility.
Thank you. Maybe that made it just as clear as mud to everybody, so they'll understand it. So, because I was actually thinking that they haven't pushed the bill through the new school, so it's still being out there.
Yeah, it hasn't gone through the Senate yet, and I'm not sure it's made it
It passed
completely
the
out of the
Senate,
House.
I mean, the House Education Committee today.
But that's as far as it's got, so anything we can do to kind of bump it would help. Okay.
Should we approach the commissioners about adopting a similar resolution?
And they may be, I'll follow up with them and
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
because ultimately, if this passes, it's either cut positions or get more money from the
Right.
commissioners, and I would think they'd have a vested interest in that.
And when he means cut positions, to add classrooms, you may have to cut, so I don't even want to say what they are, but
Right.
you may have to have some of your other classes that are not what I consider, the regular classroom type position. So that's a good point, Rich, because eventually they may be footing the bill. So
Well,
they may,
and I think
they may want to do the same thing.
The more voices that
So you'll
express their
you
concerns,
just mention that to them then?
I'll be glad to
Okay.
follow up.
Well, first off, we need a motion to take this one.
I make a motion that we adopt this resolution and send it forward.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any last questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You'll get it to me tonight, I'll sign it, and you can send it on. I bet you got it right in your hand, don't you? Okay. Capital update. That brings you up, Stan, or Mr. Hudson for the cameras. How about do the ceiling quotes first? Let's just I saw that, well, it's first on my list.
Yes, sir. First one I'm bringing to you tonight is, both of these projects were sent out for RFP, and we did not have any replies. And upon y'all's request, I seek individual to do it, and we found a gentleman out of Vanceburg, North Carolina, that is JLG Ceilings. And the the Snowden project came in at $5,500, and we had a budget allowed of $5,700. So I'll be seeking approval to accept that one tonight. The second one is also the same one that was sent out, and we didn't have any bids to reply. We got a bid here, a quote of $8,000, and our budget is $9,000.
Got you. So same, I see it.
Yes, sir.
Same person's going to do both?
Yes, sir.
of them?
The Snowden job, he said we could get done over the Easter break with no problem. And he said he also could do the Chocowindy Middle School if we had to, but the issue we'd like to do is replace the water system at Chocowindy Middle School before we put the ceiling in, because it is very decrepit, galvanized pipe, and we would like to get in just as soon as the kitchen closes after school. The next day is whenever they allow us in there, when they get their food put up and cleaned up, get in and replace this piping above ceiling.
After school, it's in the break, or after school, it's in June?
After school is in June, like the June 7th or 8th, somewhere in there, as soon as we can get in there and cut their water off.
And that's for which school again?
That's where Chocowindy Middle School, and this was a health department request that we install this ceiling. Or requirement, excuse me, it wasn't a request, they told us we had to.
so the 2x2 vinyl tiles will meet their requirements?
Yes, sir. It's considered a washable ceiling, so,
Right, putting the washable ceiling is what we're saying.
correct.
Okay.
Do we
Now,
want
in Snowden, you're just putting in new,
Replacement.
We're going from 2x4s to 2x2s, the moisture in the building over the years, the 2x4 tiles just sagged big time, and you're gonna be adding additional braces and cleaning up and all new tiles. Put in them 2 classrooms in the hallway.
Okay. I had a question. I want to attack them together or separately. To me,
Yes.
it doesn't really matter as far as that goes. How big a trouble is it to do the water? I'm trying to get a handle on CMS.
It's the main water pipe that comes through the existing wall, comes overhead, and we're proposed to put it outside, move our hot water heaters over, which help our demand hot water load, and get rid of the galvanized piping that's in the kitchen and put it all in copper.
Are you talking about in-house or?
Yes, ma'am, yes, our plumber's prepared, and we've getting materials list together already, and just the fact of doing it. And another part, I was going to ask if we could get some funds helping to pay for the copper out of the balance left over from that project, would be greatly appreciated, but if not.
How long is it going to take to do that water project?
Probably 2 days, 3 days.
With the bathroom renovation scheduled here, he can't be in 2 places at one time.
Who can?
Our plumber.
Okay.
He's going to be doing the bathroom renovation here over the Easter break, so that's why we can't do it over the Easter
Okay.
break. Get in there when they're closed.
Then that's why you need to bid some of these projects out.
We're going that way.
Okay. Okay. What's the board's pleasure on this?
Is it possible to speed that up, that we could get that plumbing work done by a subcontractor? So that we could get the ceiling tiles done over the Easter break?
It's possible. My biggest worry is when you bring somebody who's gonna install a ceiling over all the cooking equipment and everything, the mess that it'll make from a, ceiling tile, even though this is not a washable ceiling tile, the cleanup is not a burden that I want to put on the cafeteria staff
When they come back from break, I gotcha. You'd rather it be when their kitchen's closed for the summer. Do they
Correct.
not operate a summer program at all out of there?
Well, we're hoping we can head it off, or they use another kitchen this year, what give us time. Last year, we didn't get it in time to get it in Quinn's thing, and she had already planned to do the summer feeding at Chocowinity or cook the food, so
Have
we
you
missed it.
spoken
So
with her about what her plans are?
yes.
We've asked for it not to be middle school this year.
Is she okay with that? I mean, they do it because of the location.
Why don't we just switch the scheduling? Switch the bathroom to June, switch this to the Easter break.
Because he's saying to do the ceiling tiles behind the plumbing,
It's going
Then we'd have to
Well, we can
require
have-
them to
we can
come
have
in.
this- We can have the ceiling tiles done Easter break also, right? That's what you stated.
Yeah, but the mess that we would make would require the kitchen staff to come back in prior to opening school to clean their kitchen and get it back sanitary once we mess it up, per se.
they have to be
And
ready
in
to
the summer,
go
they
and
come in
serve
2
food.
weeks before and they get the kitchen prepared.
It wasn't in the
and
kitchen.
Get everything ready to go.
It wouldn't matter how big a
Whereas
mess it
over
made.
Easter break, they've got
Yeah,
to be
we're
ready
gonna
to
clean
serve
it up and
breakfast
vacuum
Monday
everything we
morning.
can, but them to do their terminal health department cooking and cleaning and getting ready, it would require them to come in that Friday or weekend to work to get it cleaned up. I don't
Because
think
they
it's
have to
fair to
serve
require them.
breakfast on Monday
Yeah.
morning.
I thought the summer feeding program was going to be done the cooking at least was going to be done at Chocowinity Middle.
It was done there last year.
And I was thinking something around that, and that's why I'm sitting here just sort of looking off into space, because I know there was something we mentioned about CMS over the summer already.
We'd like to do it at Ed Tech. We don't have the kitchen there. Ultimately, if we can get that, that would be a great preparation site and feeding site. But what we did last year was did the meal prep from Chocowinity Middle.
That's
And then
correct.
they carried out kind of like a satellite. And my understanding was they were going to do, Mark, is that correct?
That was my understanding. We were going to be back at
Yeah,
Chocowinity
so-
Middle again this summer.
You know, time frame, I think it happens right after students get out when the
Right.
summer feeding
It starts
program
up.
starts.
It starts up. So how's
There's
that
like a
going?
2-week window there, that's it.
And it runs into.
If they do it at Chocowinity, but we've asked her, and Jerry's in our office daily, her kitchen maintenance guy that's in charge of the kitchens, and he's on the same boat that we're on, so.
It still might behoove
Well, we
us to
can-
have another conversation
We
to
can
make
confirm
sure.
and bring it back
Let's
before
do
you
this.
approve this
Let's do this.
Chocowinity
I
Middle
think
School.
we need to have another conversation to make sure that she's aware that it's going to shut that kitchen down right
Okay.
away and make sure that that's not going to interrupt any kind of feeding schedule.
Why don't you do this?
We have another
It's-
meeting next week.
Well, doesn't matter. It's February and that's June.
That's what I'm saying, we have time.
Let's entertain a motion, if the board wants to, entertain a motion for S.W. Snowden. Handle them separately.
So move, Mr. Jefferson.
Second.
Request for Snowden.
Right. Anybody have, do you understand what I'm saying?
Request just for Snowden.
We're
We'll break them
yeah,
apart.
go ahead and approve Snowden and then
Go ahead
put
and
that one
approve
on
Snowden,
hold
hold
till
on,
next.
because
For the ceiling.
I don't even want to approve a motion tonight for something that's going to be done in June, until I get a better understanding of what we're doing over there in June. Because I know there's something going on at that school that we talked about. I just can't remember. I should be able to remember better than this, but I can't remember what it was. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the Snowden for 55. is it? I had to go back and look up.
Correct, 5,500, yes, sir.
Okay, I got it.
To be done
7,200.
Over the Easter break.
Easter break. Okay. Any other questions about that one? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Nobody
And we will have
opposed to
custodial staff there to clean up after and get the classroom set back up that Friday, so,
And
yeah.
who's going to check, before I leave this issue, who's going to check on the CMS and to give me some more details on what's going to be
I'll find
done
out
there?
forward. I'll find out tonight.
Well, I just don't have to know tonight, but next week, let us know something about that. Let's see here. Do you have those hard copies, Lisa? Well, first off, tell me this. What is this test well at Snowden? Let's pull that up and see what that's about.
That's a proposed project from, I was hoping Miss Tierney would stay, but she got out. She must have somewhere she had to go because I talked to her in the parking lot. But it's through East Carolina School, a college, and the Fossil Museum to have 3 test wells put at Snowden, out in between the playground and the cafeteria, which is,
There's a picture on here.
yes,
for everybody
sir, in the whole
down
site,
there.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And there's actually a presentation that's there. I got it this afternoon, but I just asked to get y'all for a preliminary viewing if it's so, and
Okay.
if y'all wanted to think on it, then we'll give them gracious later, but
we might as
the
well
wells will be
talk about it.
used for education, involving math, a lot of math involved in the geological side of it. He explained that they would be able to determine the way the water flowed underground by the 3 triangulation of it. They would be able to control water levels. They'd be to test the water for calcium and iron and a lot of other things that go on involved in water. A lot of information, a lot related to the kids during the school year, and a lot involved in the summer program that they're willing to come and do. And it's a no charge, no thing. It's just asking permission to put the 3 wells on our property.
Okay.
It says they're shallow, but how deep is that?
Yeah.
I don't know if
We
it
know.
explained. I do
I
not.
didn't- yeah, I
I
didn't
read
see
the
that.
presentation this
Shallow.
afternoon. Have you been involved in Miss Orr's
On one of them it says
Snowden
shallow.
well? Yes.
There is some interest in some form of a scientific water
Right.
sampling investigation to go along with the camps for as welcome, and I don't know much about it, but they thought it would be wonderful.
And he's willing to come back and actually give y'all a presentation on it, but this is
Well,
like the
I
first
mean,
viewing.
I'm
Or
just not knowing much about it. What's
Right.
our liability here, any? I mean, I know what test wheels are, and I
Hope
know
he's
they
looking
put
at
them,
you
but.
and not me.
Well, they're 4-inch.
No, I'm not looking
Yeah.
at you, I'm just looking around the room in general.
They're 4-inch wells. The casing that's showed in one of the pictures will be up 4 foot, so it's out of the flood zone, so you don't get contaminated waters. We don't have to worry about those issues. They presume all liabilities, all cost of all education and everything, as explained in the video, in the presentation, so.
Why don't we let, you said he would come.
Yes, sir. He's
Let's
the
just go ahead and
doctor-
Come do that, 'cause I
Dr.
don't
Mo,
even
something
know
other he said,
exactly what he
yeah.
wants to do here.
Sounds like a great thing. I would just want to be assured
Yeah.
that we don't, A, we don't have any liability, and B, that these
Right.
are as
That's right.
tamper-proof as possible.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
Correct.
I don't guess anybody can fall down a 4-inch well.
Yeah.
No, sir, no.
Wells make me nervous, but just looking at that picture, it doesn't look like there's anything to fall into unless you took that 4-foot thing out of the ground.
Well, it'd still be a 4-inch hole in the ground, so a foot could get caught in it, but that would be it.
Okay.
Well, that's the case on any school property with divots.
Yeah, we still want to go over some of this, but let me ask another, can I ask Ms. Orrs a question, since she's walked back in the room? Summer feeding programs, we were discussing at CMS, possibility, what do you know about that, that we don't know, because we don't know a lot about it?
The kitchen that
The
we're gonna
kitchen,
use.
right.
For, this will probably be the 10th year that we have collaborated with Carol World,
Right.
which is a nonprofit. They are a certified licensed child nutrition summer feeding provider. We have availed them the use of one of our kitchens
Right.
in which they've cooked meals. I think last year it was about 650 lunches a day, and then maybe 400 or 500 breakfasts prepared. We use that kitchen to prepare the food. That site in the past has also been a place that students, children, anyone 18 and under can eat free. The USDA reimburses for the meals. There were 17 feeding sites throughout the county last year, which include also the schools that hosted summer reading camp. There were vacation Bible schools. We had community feeding sites. And several trailer parks. Some of the churches actually collaborated and set up feeding tents. We put books for children to read from the Partnership for Children. It's a nationwide program.
Right, I understand the program.
So that was what we do. We used to use the Eastern kitchen, but when we had
Right,
reading camp there, we moved it because there'd be too much action on that site for little children as well as people coming and going, picking up food.
So are they using CMS?
We discussed where would be the site for cooking this summer again, and Ms. Gibbs agreed that she would permit the use of her kitchen. We are also waiting, hopefully, that we will receive funding from Farm to School and be able to move that kitchen to the Ed Tech if we got money to set it up again. But at present, the proposal is that we use the Chocowinty Middle School kitchen as our prep kitchen again this summer like we did last year.
Do you know how soon it starts up after school's out?
The week after school is out, the feeding starts. So we get out on a Friday-ish and probably the next Wednesday. I think that's how we did it last year, was the following Wednesday we started.
So we obviously need some coordinating going on.
Communication.
Ms. Gibbs handled it beautifully, and so they seem comfortable with it.
Our issue, Ms. Oros, is that there is a possibility that the kitchen would not be available for the first 2 weeks after school is out, and that's not going to work with the
Well,
plan.
it just depends if reading camp does not start, it depends when reading camp starts. Perhaps we would have to do 2 weeks elsewhere, I do not know. There, we might be able to identify who to start with.
Well, I wouldn't want to move
Okay.
it around.
Well,
It
at
gets
this point in time, we have time between now and then.
Let me work on the
Yeah,
coordination,
just work on the
communication.
coordination. Like I said earlier, it's just February, we're talking June.
Yeah, but that,
I
this
would
was
hope we can
fortunate
figure that out.
Carol World was going to be filling out paperwork. DPI requests that paperwork fairly early to verify how many participants there'll be. So if there is a chance there will be a change, someone probably needs to contact them so that they don't submit paperwork that is not correct.
Before we do that, let me take care of the coordination.
You're right.
I'm hopeful that we can keep things the way they are.
Okay, capital updates. Lisa, just hand out the 2015-16. There's very few things on it. And you have it on your screen if you want to, I mean, if you're one of those folks that you can read it right here, but you're going to have to enlarge it if your eyes are anything like mine.
What do you want us to look
And
at?
2015, 2016. Just an update from Stan on these, all, but I just can't read the one on the computer. Well, I mean, I can read it by enlarging it, but it's just harder to do. Do you have?
And Miss Lisa has, yes, sir, I got the same thing, but
So we just look right
I did
there.
send an electronic one over with it on the extra column added with the completion date, but it didn't get in time to get posted, so.
I'm gonna actually start at the back and go forward. How about?
All right.
Or actually, I'll let you sit your one, give it up.
No, that's fine.
But no, I was just going to point out a couple of things. At the very back, anything in yellow, I'm assuming is telling me it's completed.
Correct.
But I heard someone say, and I don't even know how to actually explain it. If it says completed, it's completed. Even if it's in yellow and there's not, and I'm looking over it because it was a finance thing, I was told. If there's not anything written in that column that says completed, it's because what, the funds haven't cleared through, or I don't even know exactly what the term I'm trying to
I'm
ask you.
confused because this dude told me y'all weren't going to get color, so I'm not sure why you're looking.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you. Well, looking at the last page, I mean, I can just pick out one. It says Chocowinity Middle install soundproofing in the van, $8,000. We spent the money, so I'm assuming it's done.
Yes, sir, completed.
Right, I'm
Yes.
just saying, why they don't have complete? And somebody told me it was because something hadn't cleared through. I'm just trying to get a handle, if they're really complete or not.
Yes,
I mean,
it is
spent
complete,
money,
yes,
I know
sir.
it's complete.
They have been installed and it has helped greatly.
Right. Okay.
I prepared with Ms. Duke a general ledger report that had the projects completed, so that's what I was asking her about. Anything that was completed in the general ledger, we moved the money up into your savings for future projects.
Right.
I believe that figure was 245.
To the fund balance, or whatever.
It's
you wanna call
actually
it.
in,
It's got a separate line item
Separate line,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Okay.
of money saved from previous projects.
Stan, those last three that says barn units removed due to cutting by the commissioners or whatever, but aren't some of those, none of those are being done? I thought, when it said barn unit, I thought y'all had actually replaced some of those, or is that just less than what we were originally going to replace?
That was less than what we originally was going to replace. We're replacing them as Brian, that does all of our work, he keeps a ledger in his truck
Gotcha.
of every unit that has problems and the amount of compressors being put in them. So we started off with our worst ones,
Okay.
the
So
ones
if
that
we
have been the
wanted to-
sickest over the last few years. So we started at John Cotton Taylor, and we've put in 4 as of now and 3.
What is 4, 5?
Were there 19 purchased, Stan? Is that-
19 purchased, yes, sir.
And these- this-
Throughout the system between John Cotton Taylor, Chocowinity Middle, Chocowinity Primary, and Bath.
What I was gonna say is, if we want these additional ones, this is something we could look at when we start the next capital.
Most certainly, yes, sir. That's what I'm
That's
putting
all-
together
that's
for your
all I was
next
gonna say about
capital.
that.
I've taken everything that was knocked off from the years before, and we're putting on what we'll be presenting to you for our 17-18.
All right, that's fine. And then the third page, nothing needs to be discussed there because that's all completed. That brings us pretty much back to the first page.
Okay.
And all I'm trying to do, I've already spoke to you once before, you know what, we're trying to clear this out.
Yes, sir.
So we can get to the
We
next
got dates
issue,
put
because
together
we got
and-
another year coming up on top of us.
Line 6,
I'm sorry.
which is northeast.
You're going to get the report that we had that specified which ones were truly closed out, and then we
Okay.
can compare them for you.
Okay. I'm gonna go down about, and the board, you can jump anywhere, I don't have to direct this, anybody can jump in. But I'm gonna go down about 7 or 8 lines on page 1 to where it says Chocowinity Middle, installed a washable ceiling, that's what we just talked about. So for that
That's
9,000.
number 18, line 18.
Number line 18 is unsaid. I'm just putting a check off on mine. I'm trying to cover all these projects that we don't have something accomplished. And I'm just checking that off because I know we just said we were going to put it out. Snowden, 19, we just approved, so that's out. Then moving back up, what's the deal on, because, and some of this I know we've talked about.
Yes, sir.
But I can't remember.
I got dates for all of them, so.
Okay,
yes.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm gonna move up with 17. Washington High School, clean and paint, there's 20,000 set aside. What is that?
That's
Where we-
20,000 that was
Where
budgeted.
do we stand on it?
It was budgeted, it was set out for RFP, and the lowest
Okay.
bid we got in was 45,000.
Okay.
Oh.
And I have not been able to obtain a bid lower than that
Okay.
quote.
So if we want to talk about it, that's when we can talk about it the next.
Correct.
Because what I'm trying to, if we can get some resolution of this, we can just
Increase
actually
some of-
do away with this sheet
Correct.
altogether and quit having to talk
I
about it.
agree.
The next one up, I think I do know about it. That's the one where there was some discussion at Northside.
And we have
16,
just sent it back out
About which
for-
size we were going to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that
And
what
we
it was,
determined the
Stan?
size, and it's
Yeah.
been sent out for RFP.
Okay.
It went out yesterday, I think.
Gotcha.
Again, the second time.
We're
Determine
gonna
the size
talk
to
about
be what?
Washington High School on the
Um,
next meeting, is that
full
what
width
you're
of
saying?
sidewalk.
Full width of the
We're gonna
sidewalk
talk at Washington High School. at the
and
next
full
meeting?
length of the sidewalk.
I haven't got a Washington High School.
I think it's 12 foot
Yes,
wide.
We just talked
Yes,
It's
about
gonna be
it.
in the concrete, we're putting the concrete so posts won't get run over and won't get mowed over, but it'll be close, within 6 inches of the edge of
Okay.
it.
Now, wait a second,
man, it's
how,
not all-
how,
Snowden
is
just
the
approved
canopy
it.
gonna cover the whole sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, yes, ma'am, the canopy to full width,
That was
the
the issue we
post will
ran
be
into
set
before.
inside 6 inches, so they will be core drilled and filled with cement back to the existing level,
Okay.
is the way the RFP is
So
written.
we'll worry about that. When does that RFP, how long we put this out?
She give it it goes off next Thursday.
Okay, so we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay, what did we, okay, I'm sorry.
North side, it is gonna
The
cover
next,
the
I'm moving up.
sidewalk, but
Yes, sir.
it's out for
John
being
Cotton
rebuilt.
Taylor, what did we decide on that canopy? It seemed like there was some discussion about it too.
We've made it the width that was requested, which was 30 foot by 30 foot wide and 32 foot out, or roughly thereabout measurement, somewhere in the ballpark.
Okay.
Should be a lot more than 2,700.
Yes, sir. We're not gonna have the budgeted number, but that's
That
the
won't
way
even
we.
cover all the posts you
But
got.
originally, it was just a 3 foot wide down for the students to come in, and then it's got wider and wider where it covered the whole awning, basically. So they can have a staging area to get the kids outside.
So you're trying to get a bid so that we can revisit to see if we
Yes, ma'am.
have the funding?
Yes,
I was gonna say, are we actually looking to bid on that? Because if not, that's something we can move on.
Yes,
to
they've
the
gone
next.
out. Miss Lisa sent them out.
Okay,
Yes.
well, if it doesn't work, or if it does, doesn't matter. We can
That's
talk
right,
about that.
make it a
Isn't our
current
next
year.
budget meeting on Monday?
Monday night, that's
Yeah,
right.
okay. So I'm gonna put down here, that might be something we want to add to
Because
Monday
you won't
night.
get it at 27.
Monday night. Is that the
No, we're
sidewalk?
close.
That's number.
Okay, we decided not to
15,
do the
John
next, now, when we
Cotton
put down not able to do the specs, I know we talked about it.
Yeah,
Do we just need
13.
to close that? Is that gonna be when we just close out?
That's because it has to be so tall,
Right.
right?
Height
Yeah.
and wind restrictions.
So I'm just gonna put, when we get back together, we'll talk about just closing that one out.
But I feel like when we do that, we need to report back to the commissioners, I
Yes.
think, because when we did this, we did it as an agreement that these were projects that we were going to do. And I need to give them a reason why we've not done it.
I
Either the
agree.
budget was an issue or,
Well-
this kind of thing. So I want to be able to do that.
But did we actually do that? Because we always put more, if we put 1.8 and they give us 1.1, we come back in and skin it down to the projects we want to do. Do we actually report which ones we're going to do to them in the final?
I had done a quarterly update on the projects
Okay,
that were
because
on the
I know
list.
sometimes I didn't think we did on every one of them, but that's fine.
I've not been going back every month, but I like to give them an
yeah.
accountability of
I'm
what-
all about letting them know. Jumping now the other way, I know I'm all over the place. Number 20, line 20, Ed Tech.
That is scheduled to be done over Easter break. The doors are ready on site. Ray Bond has them, our door guy has them all prepped and ready to go. And we have a PO set up with Mr.
Right
Steve
now,
Davis
Mr.
to pour the concrete, and that will be done over Easter break.
Okay. What did we decide about the Chakawinity parking lot bus? This was like part
It's
two.
phase 2 of another one, so it's been on hold since we took the other part.
I know I've brought this up before, but that's a little further down, folks. Number 27, CMS, the new access road. I just don't believe that's going to happen. We've been following that for about 3 or 4 years
So
now.
what do we do with the 28,000?
Well, we well, actually, it was 2 or 3 projects there, but that was covered with it. Didn't we cover that already with the commissioners on? I mean, any of the money we repurposed?
I have to go back and look because we're
Yeah.
across so many different years. Part of that, I think, was used from something with the Eastern
Right,
project.
'cause-
Correct. The 29,000 was
But
taken.
those projects were identified as on hold. So why don't we just take those up at the budget meeting and see which ones we want to move forward or which ones we don't? I mean, up to whatever y'all's discretion
What
is.
projects are those?
That would be
Chocolate and the SS Road.
26 through 30.
26 to 30.
Those
And
would
we
be-
talked about it.
All of those were repurposed money to.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That was where we repurposed the money. That's right.
It's
So what
supposed
we'll
to
be
be
able to
first
do.
up for this coming year.
So what we'll either be able to do is exactly, if we decide to add them back in, we'll just add them back in. If not, they just go off of the sheet and we don't have to talk about them anymore. Or at least that's the way I feel about it. Other than that, Stan, there's really nothing here, is there, but some of the in-house at the top?
Yes, sir. We'll be through with the northeast when we started on it, got the pad poured for the box, and our plan is to be through with it on 2/17.
Okay.
The storm drain in northeast?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we dug the box and shot the grades and poured the cement for to hold the box, but we'll start laying the blocks tomorrow,
Okay.
and then we'll run the grade pipe between.
What landscaping were they gonna do at Chakawinity? I thought
We've-
they had
that's
done
been
that. Isn't that
completed.
out front?
No, it was behind the 400 building back where the modular used to be years
Yeah,
ago.
okay.
And water was standing there. When we got the power rake before we had the excavator,
Uh-huh.
Gary Buck and I went in there and graded it out and got rid of that water issue. So that one could be closed.
Close it out?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It was no cost, just the cost of
That's
fuel
all.
for the
I
tractor.
just- I just
No,
want
wait.
ones that have done, it's the
Landscape.
second one, it's on
Number
line
7.
7.
Okay, so we didn't use any of the money because we did everything with
Correct.
what we had.
Yes, ma'am. Number 7's in progress, and we're planning to be through with it on 3/31, pouring the last ones at Southside.
Okay, are you
And I-
still, okay, on number 8, are you still pouring concrete pads?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say it was supposed to be done?
We will have them completed by 3/31.
What is that, just pads at roof drains and stuff?
Yes, sir. Where those big corners dump so much water down,
Yep.
it just totally erodes. There was a rock drain system, French drain put in, but it can't handle that water when it comes off the top of that building in a gully washer.
And just so you'll know, Stan has got this put together with a completed date on it. Lisa didn't get it in time to put it
Okay.
on here tonight. We'll have that at the meeting we have on Monday. So
Okay.
you'll see
That's
this
fine.
list, and then you'll see the anticipated date for these, including the current year that we're in.
Okay, that's fine.
And Stan, this, I don't know that this was in when you got various schools. I don't think that this was included, but can you give me an update on when we toured the schools last year, there was such a bad erosion problem on the multi-purpose side of the campus at Eastern where the old trailers are,
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
where you've got that metal thing.
down the hill.
Yeah, going down the hill. Has that been addressed in any
Well,
way
the new
since
building
last
took
year?
some of the water off of it, and it will be run through the drainage down, but it's still, in the
It's-
area, due to the incline of the existing stuff, there's really no way to, we continue to repair it as we
Yeah,
have
I
a bad
haven't-
rain, we have to go in and do some repair.
I hadn't been back to look at that since we looked at.
And
the
Russ and I are
multi-purpose.
working on cleaning some of those up. We possibly may put some sod down in that bottom and try to try to,
Something, yeah.
something to try to get to grow. Part of that soil out there is just dead dirt, it won't grow anything.
Some of those,
It's just,
some of those foundation supports look like they're just on a rock. I mean,
Well,
it
we
looks
can't-
like if that rock ever moved, it would start falling in.
yeah.
How about the drainage at Snowden?
Snowden, we'll have it finished by 3:10. We have everything on hand. We just-
Front between there and the gym, was it, is that what it was at?
No, we got the one at the gym corrected already, that one's been done.
Okay.
That one was actually, a tree had grown through the end of the existing line, we were gonna put a second one in, but this town let the ditch grow up so big that the tree actually grew right up and tore our line out, so we put a new line in, and the last 3 rains we monitored and have not had any problem at the front door. So the one I propose to do is to grade out from the kitchen over to that existing ditch, or excuse me, the cafeteria, over to the existing drainage ditch on property, but we have all the stuff on hand to do that, and we'll have it done by 3:10.
Okay. Well, and that leaves nothing but the barred units, but as far as they go, I mean, you're just putting those in as you need them.
I'm still,
You have-
I have acquired a price from a company to install them that does it locally.
How many do we need to install?
We still have 16 left as of right this minute. We put 2 in over the last break, and we put 1 in previously, one that had failed. We did it during the weekday.
How long does it take to put one in?
And most of a day to do one,
And how many people does it take?
2 people minimum. And what it really involves trades, the electrician and the HVAC trade, so.
Right. I would think so.
And then it takes a second person with HVAC guy to manhandle these things, and depending on location, some of them we can drive the tractor up to, and then some of them we have to manipulate and manhandle, so.
But you're just looking at someone to get those.
Yes, sir, a quote, yes, sir, I'll bring that back
Yeah,
before
just
y'all.
bring that back to
Yep.
us.
Can I ask
Okay.
the question?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Thank you. Stan, what's the holdup as far as getting those doors done at the cafeteria? I see now you're saying that they would probably be done on the Easter break?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, is it because of lack of work, or is it just priorities, or, I mean?
Ma'am, we can't pour cement during the day with the kids there, it's inside.
So there haven't been any time that you could have done it prior?
But I've been out all the Christmas break, I was out for my personal medical stuff, so I didn't arrange anything, so I'll take the rap for that. But we just got the doors back 3 weeks ago from being modified, because we actually cut the new doors off 8 inches to allow the raising of the threshold. So we can't take the doors down and leave the new doors up, and we got an 8-inch threshold, we can't put the cement back, so.
And I'm asking you this for clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not asking you because.
Yes, well, we got to go in and cut the existing sidewalk ups, because you can't terminate cement to existing cement. We have to cut a break in it, so therefore it'd be a trough that the kids could possibly fall in, and that is a door they use every day, so.
Yeah, it
And
is.
you can't get 2 yards of cement on a Saturday. They even have it done on a Saturday.
I have a question. There are so many things that you're planning to do over Easter. Do you have the manpower to do
No,
that?
these are being contracted, a lot of them are being contracted. The job at Ed Tech would involve Raybon, putting in 3 hinges, 4 screws, basically changing out the old doors and putting the new doors, once the threshold's put in, so.
So that won't take you a
that-
day, maybe?
Yes, ma'am, it'll be done in a day. Yes,
Okay.
we'll be in and out, the next day we'll come in, take the foam boards up and clean up the site, so it's basically 2 days, time we get through.
Okay.
The catch-22 is whether or not we can do, if whether y'all choose for us to do here or do Chocowinity Middle School.
That's what I mean, there was just
Chocowinity Middle School was kind of
a lot of
null
things
and
I
void
have-
now, so.
I have written Easter break by a lot of things, and there's only so many men, and
Well, there's different trades involved, so, yes.
Is there, you have to do any kind of trenching for a ditch at Ed Tech once you get that stuff poured? Is there still a water standing
Yes,
issue
sir.
outside?
Well, no, sir, we'll put a pipe underneath one part of it so the water can transverse down the side of the
That'd be
building.
part of what you're gonna do in
Yes,
this
sir,
project?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. There still probably needs to be some grading done once we get this done to see what we get rid of, but we have the power rake and we have the excavator now, so.
I wish we had a Monday or a Friday or something off between now and Easter to maybe do that before then, but if it just takes a day, and if.
Well, it takes 2 days really, so.
Oh.
And we get it done and then poured back and then coming back the next day to clean up and dress up, so.
Does anybody have any other questions about this particular? I think we covered them all, and I know it takes a few minutes, but we need to talk about these things.
Item 22 is done, the floor tile at Snowden. And that, is that the locker rooms and all that?
Item 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
done.
That's
done.
done.
Okay.
Other than the lobby, and the custodial staff's going to do the lobby over the break, Easter break. They're going to, the lobby. G.W. Walker did the main part, and it's very nice, and they love it. It's very easy to clean. But y'all approved $500 or $450, but they're planning to do it. They're going to clean it and roll it out while the kids are gone.
Okay. No more questions about that one? Okay, the
2016, 17.
the 16-17, I have some safety and some security issues. So we're going to carry that to closed session. Can I get a motion?
Oh, you ready for me? I didn't know if you wanted to address the other things.
Well, just a second. I might have one last question over here.
Can we see this again with the numbers total at the bottom, so we can see where we're at with in the balance? The amount left? Looking at everything that's highlighted in yellow, there's,
Mac took that and cleaned it up, and Mac has a version that we have, but it didn't get to the board docs, but he has a clean version. Of the money and all the money cleaned up.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
looking at what's highlighted, we should be probably 250 to the good.
246.
246.
Yes, good guess.
And we have that one issue with the security, that's a 33,000 PO that we need to see if we can.
Russ has explanations for that.
Okay.
Okay, just hang on then. All right, we're going to back up because I was almost to forget Mark here, and he would not appreciate that.
Please don't
So
forget my
before we
grant.
go into closed session, grants.
Yes, sir. We're entering a partnership with St. John of Christ in Washington, North Carolina. We've applied, it's 21st Century Community Learning Center after-school program that would work with students at Southside, Washington High School, and Beaufort County Ed Tech. All three locations will be able to provide tutoring, credit recovery, guidance services, and enrichment activities. The program is budgeted around $400,000 per year, for a total of $1.2 million over a 3-year grant period. So with any luck, we will get this and be able to implement those programs.
St. John.
I couldn't tell you. This is a joint effort with Michelle Oros and the church, and I don't know if it's a transportation issue or what.
Could you find out for us?
I'll be glad to.
Let us know
Sure.
Monday.
Because that's a pretty glaring outage right there, isn't it, Barbara?
And I
So-
know we need
And
it.
St. John of Christ in Washington, you're saying?
That's what I'm reading, yes, ma'am.
That was the issue, was the transportation and the distance from the church to the campus. Now, that doesn't mean we won't look at something else that would be closer to us.
I think that's all I remember was the transportation issue.
Because that's always a problem.
And when we have grants like this is a kind of much larger, unusual than some of the grants that come through.
Correct.
But it actually requires us to hire people.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
What happens to those people when the grant money runs out? Sometimes, in the past, there's been grants that were short-term grants that we would hire someone possibly, and when the grant expires, we continue to keep the person.
Well, all of these
What happens
folks
to
would be
people like this?
part-time, after-school
Right.
type jobs, so these would not be permanent positions.
Okay.
So the vast majority of the time we have things like this, our own employees take those positions for extra employment.
So it would be
So
current
there's
folks
no
already.
full-time person new added to
And
this.
anybody else would, the positions would disappear once the.
Exactly.
Yeah. But if
Okay.
anybody outside could apply, of course, but they would have to, with the understanding that it's part-time and has a temporary end to it.
Okay. All right, moving on. Now I'll entertain that motion to go into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11, A1, to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C-321, and to formulate and/or adopt school safety components of the school improvement plans.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to go in closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session. Good. Okay, we're back in open session, and the first item up is to approve the personnel agenda that was just discussed.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not out here. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Calendar.
We've got tonight's meeting noted there. We have a meeting, it's a budget session for capital on the 13th, next week at 5:30, and then our regular February board meeting on the 21st. I'd like to ask, could we go ahead and add a local current expense budget planning meeting either the 27th or 28th, like at 5:30
Of what?
of February.
27th or
So
28th?
that's a Monday or Tuesday. Right now, I mean,
Do
there's no,
we have to have it in February?
I'd like to get it done if we could to go ahead. We won't accomplish, we won't complete anything, but we try to get as much information with the Title I conversation and any of that stuff, just to go ahead and start that conversation.
Is one of those days better than the
27th,
other?
did you say Monday?
Either Monday or
I leave
Tuesday.
on
Whatever's
the
best.
24th.
Y'all pick a
I
date.
only get back March 1st, so it's okay. The Monday?
It could be any time that week. I mean, if you wanted to do it on a Thursday, to do it on the 2nd of March, that would be fine, if that would work.
Well, that's good for me. If it's not, I mean, if it's, but I'm out of town on the 24th through March 1st.
Let's do the second.
Would 2nd at 5:30 work for you? Okay. And it'll be the first meeting that we've had on the local current expense, and at that point, I hope we'll have some information from the state, but right now, we don't have anything to start the planning
So the
process.
second at 5:30?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on calendars? If not, any board member updates?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to let the board know that the park, the grounds that we have extended to the, over on the Ed Tech campus, they are getting ready to start the park. We're so happy about that. The city is installing the bathrooms, and on August the 5th, the P.S. Jones School Reunion alumni will be dedicating the park, and hopefully I will inform you again and remind you again, and how that's on August the 5th, August the 5th, when the dedication, of course, Dr. Phillips will be on program. So I'd like to have more of the board members to show if they will.
Sure, yeah, just don't let us get that
So
day.
they're getting ready to do that, and we're real happy about it in the community. I want to let you know that.
And remember, I was recruiting help for March the 8th, Wednesday at 9 o'clock, for those people that might not be on a regular job, I call it. I know you guys will be in town. Washington High School at 9 a.m. Just meet me in the lobby at 8:45.
I've already volunteered, Chief.
You did volunteer. Yeah, she sent everybody a message. I just want to make sure somebody goes with me.
The business
It's,
thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
business meeting.
I told her
for-
I would go too.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure some folks show up with us. There was an email sent out by Miss, I believe it's Candy Tucker.
Yeah.
And she's doing, I guess, talking about local boards and things like that, government boards. And she's invited the school board to come in that morning and explain. Well, she's going to give me a heads up between now and then as to what she wants us to explain.
March the 8th.
But it's March
at
the
what
8th at
time?
9 a.m. for about 45 minutes in her class.
8:45.
We just need to meet there about 8:45 at the office, and we'll go down together.
Okay. Okay, good.
And I have one thing to add as a board update. If you saw in the paper today, I want to once again congratulate the Washington High School
Yes.
swim team on winning the regionals, and wish them the best of luck. Maybe by the time we meet again, I'm not sure when the state championship is, but
They leave, they go Thursday this
yeah,
week.
okay. Well, congratulations to them on all their hard work.
Okay. Any other updates? If not, superintendent update.
Well, along the line of congratulations, I think we need to congratulate our local community college, Beaufort County Community College,
Yes.
celebrating 50 years. They had an event yesterday, and there'll be some ongoing celebrations. Also, Terry Draper, I had the opportunity to spend a couple of days with him a couple of weeks ago, and he completed his School Board 101 work. It was nice to be able to do
Bless
that.
you.
And the ethics training and stuff that goes along with that. We are closing in on the date that we have for our advanced ed accreditation visit. Will be a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the last week in March. So we're starting to gear up for that. And we're also proud to announce that we had our first Ag Expo donation for the 2017 event, that Lisa and I met with Mac Hodges and a couple folks from Farm Bureau, they were from Paquimins County, but we've gotten that first check, and we want to encourage folks. That's November the 2nd, which I know is a long way out on the calendar, but in the kind of scheduling that we do, that'll be here before you know it. So we want to try to encourage as many folks that want to be a part of that to check us out on the website and either be an exhibitor or a sponsor or both.
Okay. Lisa, do you mind passing out those SRO contracts before everybody leaves? Nothing you need to do except carry it home and give you some nice reading. This contract comes up for renewal every couple of years, and it comes up, well, it ends in June. So we'll be discussing that, and that just kind of gets you familiar with what we currently have. Other than that, that's it. Just be familiar with it. Thank you, sir. Okay, 1, 2, that may be 3. Anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
And I guarantee you, we have a motion to adjourn. I bet everybody votes aye.
Aye.